All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, listen, Democrats are siding with corrupt government over Doge, over what's being exposed by Doge. And I believe that they are siding with the corrupt government because they're corrupt, quite frankly. And so is the establishment media that has been running interference for the Biden administration and for the deep state. All of these people are lap dogs. They're not watchdogs. And we're going to get into that in just a minute and explain what I mean by using some video. Stephen Miller, who's associated or who's in the Trump White House, part of the staff of the Trump White House, had a confrontation just the other day with the Kyler, I forget her first name, excuse me, on CNN. And I wasn't going to play this entire video for you, but I am going to play it for you shortly. But first, I want to bring you some news. I mean, this situation with Doge, I'm totally obsessed with it. I completely admit it. I gave an analogy the other day while sitting in for Dennis Prager that, you know, when I was a kid, my mom was fascinated, or I don't want to quite use the word obsessed when it comes to soap operas, but maybe that is the right word to use. But she loved watching soap operas. She loved watching Oprah. She loved watching a show called Alf that some of you my age and Generation X might remember, and she called him Alfie. But that was one of the shows that she loved. She loved the Cosby Show and stuff like that. But primarily, believe it or not, she loved Oprah, she loved her soap operas, and she loved the show Alf even more before she passed away way back in 1989 at a very young age, sadly. But nonetheless, I remember coming home, and sometimes, you know, I would want to watch my cartoons or ABC specials, those after school specials that those of you that may be in Generation X can remember back in the day. And sometimes I didn't get to watch them even after I did my homework and all that kind of stuff, because my mom might be watching some daytime soap operas. Now, she didn't watch them when my dad hated soap operas. He thought they were evil, right? So she made sure she didn't watch them when he was around. It was the funniest thing. But she always needed to see what was happening. And then my sister-in-law followed suit. My brother, Tyrone, married his wife, my sister-in-law, Tasha. And later on in life, for a brief period of time after they first got married, they stayed with us for a few short months while they built up their income to move out and stuff like that. And she was obsessed with soap operas. So I started learning more about soap operas. It was the funniest thing. And I know this sounds crazy, but I have that obsession with Doge. And I don't understand why people don't have that same obsession. It's amazing to me that the left continues to protest for, not against, but for waste, fraud, and abuse. And they want you to be distracted. They want to demonize Elon Musk. They want to demonize Trump and his executive orders while and keep you distracted by hating on them. Because remember, I've told you before that all the left has is hate. They tell you who to hate. They don't tell you who they can help. And that is the modus operandi of the left within the Democrat Party today. There were two stories that broke this week when it came to Doge. And I actually think this story is even more toxic and dangerous than USAID. We know that USAID has been, now we know that USAID has been used as a slush fund for the Democrat Party. But let me share this story with you, and I'm sure you heard of it, but I want to go through this because this is absolutely alarming to me. All right, and so here's the summary. I saw this on Breitbart the other day. Doge discovers 4.7 trillion of treasury payments that are almost impossible to trace. I can't even fathom 4.7 trillion. Can you fathom that much money? I mean, right now, our annual deficit is about 2 trillion, which is insane. And I'm not trying to be condescending or anything, but I just want to make sure that you're informed. And I suspect that if you watch my podcast, you are, frankly, because all I do oftentimes is confirm or affirm what you already instinctively know. But $2 trillion worth of debt, that's annual spending. That's what we go over as far as the budget is concerned. So we can at least chop that back. I have a sneaky suspicion that just by the work that Doge is putting in, that we'll be able to chop back our deficit entirely. Now, I could be wrong. We could be off a few $100 billion, but any savings that they find will be amazing. I mean, just as of earlier this week, as of Monday, and that number has grown since, but Doge had already found $55 billion plus in fraud, waste, and abuse. And they haven't even gone through all of these agencies. Apparently, there's hundreds of agencies in Washington, D.C., under the umbrella of the federal government that exist under the executive branch, which is why even judges, even Judge Tanya Chutkan has come out and basically said, listen, at least for now, the stuff that Trump is doing is legit. The people that brought him to court to stop what Doge is doing don't have a case, at least right now. I mean, it's absolutely astonishing what we're seeing. So this story, again, by Doge, about Doge, but from Breitbart, here's the summary. The Treasury Department sent $4.7 trillion worth of payments without an identification code that links a Treasury payment to a budget line item. All right, so you spend your money monthly. You know where your money is going. I spend this amount on groceries. You know, even if you're flippant, you can go back and check your bank account online, maybe check receipts, whatever it may be. No. The Treasury Department was sending out payments with no connection to anything, no entity or anyone. $4.7 trillion of your taxpayer dollars. Doge announced this earlier this week. And again, those payments are impossible, or at least virtually impossible to trace. Doge sent the identification payment code called TAS for Treasury access symbol is now required as of Saturday. Now, this is obviously a great thing. Why weren't they required before? See, I think the problem in Washington, D.C., isn't just corruption, albeit maybe a lot of corruption, maybe mostly corruption. I don't know. But I also believe that a lot of what happens in Washington, D.C. is the status quo. Oh, yeah, this is corrupt. We'll get to it. We'll investigate one fraud case at a time, so on, etc. This is absolutely blatant. And so I believe a lot of what happens in Washington, D.C. is just status quo. It's corruption and it's status quo. And government just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because everyone assumes that if people are working in the government, they know what they're doing. Or if someone is elected to office, they're bright, they're smart. And that's not the case. We know, honestly, just think about this. Since the conception of the Department of Education, America has gone from number one in the rankings as far as education is concerned to number 40, dead last. Trump is absolutely right on that. We've been losing ground, getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And a lot of that has to do with, you got teachers unions that are not all, and I'm not saying all teachers, there's some great teachers out there, but there's a lot of people, a lot of teachers, right, that are associated with these teachers unions that are more concerned about a paycheck than educating your child, and more concerned about indoctrinating your child because they don't have a God. Their God is big government. Their God is leftism. Their God is climate change. And they want to feel normal. So they normalize these nonsense issues onto your kids. They indoctrinate your kids. And as a result, instead of reading, writing, and arithmetic, you literally got kids that are getting dumber because all they're learning is social justice nonsense, or they're learning too much of it to the exclusion of reading, writing, and arithmetic. There's a young man that's literally suing his former high school. He graduated with a 3.4 grade point average, and he was illiterate. He admitted that he couldn't even read his diploma, and yet somehow he graduated with a 3.4 grade point average. Now he's suing his high school. As a matter of fact, I believe he's won, and they've got to reward him with some money. So I'm convinced that a lot of what happens in Washington, D.C., you get a lot of people that are hired on, that have been hired on since our education system has continued to deteriorate. And so you get a whole bunch of corruption, and you get a whole bunch of dumb people that think they're smarter than God, that are just going to do the status quo, do what they're told in Washington, D.C. They're not going to make any waves. But getting back to this story, Doge, again, set the identification payment code, again, to call it the TAS for Treasury access symbol, is now required as of Saturday. This is what Doge posted on X. Thanks to at U.S. Treasury for the great work, and great work it is. This is why the left wants to get rid of Doge, because Doge is proving in just a matter of days. Now, remember, as conservatives, we've been talking about the waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington, D.C. for decades. This has to be corrected. Republicans have said it. Democrats have said it. No one has done anything about it for decades and decades and decades on end. And now, within days, not decades, within days, Doge is exposing the piggy bank and for the left, and the waste, fraud, and abuse that exists in Washington, D.C. And Democrats are going nuts because now their piggy bank is gone. And this facade that having a big government is always what's best. No. Doge is exposing socialism for what it is. It is of, for, and by the elites of society. And the people that get screwed are the taxpayers like yourself that are paying $4.7 trillion in monies, and we don't know where it's going. Hey guys, Carl Jackson here for MyPillow, and MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on their overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, you can save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. The queen size is only $59.98 and the kings are only $69.98. But they sell out fast every year, so be sure to order now. You can also save 30% on their brand new Mike crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one that Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's styles, and they're made right here in the good U.S. of A. Get the 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them before they or while they last. And I can't forget to mention the My Pillow. It's just $14.98. So to take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to mypillow.com, use promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263 is the number to call in. But wait, remember that $75, the $75 free shipping rule. So, that ship is sailed, because right now, for a limited time, every order ships free. That's right. Every order ships free. MyPillow.com, promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. We're on YouTube. We're also on Rumble, Salem Podcast Network, wherever you go to get your podcast. Please rate and review and share it with a friend. We would certainly appreciate that. Now, guys, why is this story so important? Obviously, it's waste, fraud, and abuse. Obviously, it's your taxpayer dollars. Obviously, your dollars are being inflated. They're worth 20% less than they were since Joe Biden took office. And obviously, Trump's got a lot of work to do in order to bring this economy under control. And part of that work is Doge, finding out where the waste and abuse is. Again, if we can cut down the waste, fraud, and abuse, if we can cut down the federal deficit, that alone will strengthen your dollar. Oh, we'll talk about what's happening with the eggs in the later podcast. I have a quote unquote conspiracy theory that I don't think is a conspiracy theory on that particular issue. I really believe that was done intentionally, the culling of all of these chickens to hurt the Trump administration. But we'll talk about, and you, frankly, but we'll talk about that on another day. So what is this Treasury Department? What should they be doing? So according to the Bureau of Fiscal Service, that's under the Treasury, the TAS codes are used to describe any one of the account identification codes assigned by the Treasury. And it's also referred to as the quote unquote account. All financial transactions made by the federal government are classified by TAS when reporting to the Treasury and the Office of Management Budget. The discovery was announced on the same day Doge appeared to have populated the Doge.gov savings page, which as of Monday evening earlier in the week said the total estimated savings since the establishment of Doge total about $55 billion. Now, let me tie this story into another story. And that is, remember, Social Security, we found out this week as well, There were all types of people, literally over 100 years old, receiving Social Security checks, people that are over 130 years old. Some people, literally, there were some going out, people that were 300 something years old. Absolutely insane. And we had 60 million, over 60 million more Social Security numbers than exist. Than the number of American citizens that exist. So in other words, 390 million Social Security payments, with some people receiving benefits, 334 million population. We've got 60 million Social Security numbers that do not need to exist. What's going on, guys? I suspect, this is just my opinion, that it's a slush fund for illegals. It's a slush fund to give illegals American citizenship by giving them a Social Security number. I watched a video the other day where a woman that used to be, I believe, in the Social Security Administration said she eventually quit. She couldn't do it anymore. They were literally giving illegal alien Social Security numbers and passports. Now, if this is true, and I have, listen, given all the corruption that we're finding, why wouldn't it be true? You really have to wonder. Let me bring your attention to another story of where your money has been going. Okay, here it is. House Oversight Committee, $241 million spent on transgender surgeries and treatments on animals. 241 million of your dollars spent on transgender surgeries for animals. Are you freaking kidding me? Another story from Breitbart. Millions of taxpayer dollars were spent on trans surgeries and treatments on animals. This, according to a House Oversight Committee. They're just finding all types of stuff. According to reports, the committee revealed that $241 million in taxpayer dollars were used to study transgender surgeries and treatments on animals. What is perhaps more, former National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease chief Anthony Fauci gave the green light to the bulk of these cruel and unusual experiments. He okayed 95% of them. $241 million to turn. This is beyond insane. This is beyond crazy. I don't even know how to classify this. Evil, stupid, all of the above. I don't even know how to classify this. And then you have literally a left-wing media and a Democrat Party that is trying their best. Because listen, yes, Donald Trump has the authority. And by the way, he's fired more U.S. attorneys as well. He should. He has the authority as the head of the executive branch to fire and to stop payments within the executive branch. Appropriating funds is one thing. Finding corruption and theft is another. So the Congress can appropriate funds. Unfortunately, Congress has been dumb enough to relinquish their power to a lot of these bureaucratic agencies over the years. Why have they done that? They've done that because they don't want to take accountability. They want to get your vote, but they don't want the accountability. Oh, let's punt it off to this bureaucracy. I had nothing to do with that. That's exactly what they're doing. I want to play a video for you. Albeit long. Actually, there's a couple. I'm not even sure if we have time, but I want to give you an example of what's happening. Actually, let's play cut number 21. This is a local gentleman, I believe. Maybe he's with CNN, but he's reporting honestly and fairly on some of the corruption and some of the wasteful spending that Doge is finding. I was surprised to see an honest broker and local media, which is more at least with this associate or affiliate, left-leaning. Let's play, clip number 21, please, Gabe.
There was an Inspector General audit last year that showed over an 8-year period, the Social Security Administration made almost $72 billion in improper payments, a little less than 1% of payments in that time period. Now, the report also says that most of these improper payments were overpayments, not payments to deceased people or people who didn't qualify to receive these payments. At the same time, Jose, this effort by Doge is to go through this agency like every other and try to weed out waste and fraud.
Okay, we can cut it there. Yeah, we can cut it there. So kudos to MSNBC for at least reporting that. Now, it's not. Now, notice the liner in there. Now, it's not mostly to dead people, as if Elon Musk, as if Doge has said that. They literally did a chart, and you can find it on my X account, right, where these people have outlined everything for us, given us the numbers, age-wise, so on, etc. Kudos to them for at least mentioning that. It's important for people to understand this. I'm going to play a video now. This, we don't even have time to go through the entire thing, but you'll get the gist of it. This is Stephen. You know what? Actually, because I do want you to hear the entire video, so we'll hold out on that particular video. We'll share that when I have a little more time in the segment, because I do think it's important for you to see the entire exchange. Here's why Democrats should be fretting, and this is why all of this protest against Doge is backfiring on the Democrat Party, because I think voters intuitively understand, listen, these are my taxpayer dollars. Now things are coming to light that we didn't even expect. We didn't even necessarily, we wanted Trump to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Did we know that it was going to be this bad? No. Corruption in virtually every agency. Let's play video clip number 12. This is Frank Luntz. I believe he's on CNN, if I'm not mistaken. We'll pop up the clip in a second. But this does not bode well for Democrats. Their outrage over Doge is falling on deaf ears, and Trump's popularity continues to grow. Clip number 12, please, Gabe.
We wanted to have you on because you do a lot of focus groups. You really get behind the numbers, the poll numbers, to the sentiments of voters. And it's so interesting. You've been speaking with a number of voters who were Hillary Clinton 2016, Joe Biden 2020, and then went for Trump in 2024. How are these folks seeing the early days of Trump's second term?
Pretty well.
Really?
And they're reacting to it because they love the pace of change. They were very fed up over the last 4 years. They wanted action. They wanted results. They looked at prices. They looked at affordability, looked at immigration, and they didn't see anything happening. They still don't like what he says, but they like what he does. And these are Democrats now who felt that they were not securing the border. They were doing nothing to prevent illegal immigration, that nothing was actually happening. They wanted to see a reduction in wasteful Washington spending, and they're seeing that. So what they tell me is, I wish you'd be a little bit less rude. But at the same time, they like what he's doing. They believe he's serious about it. And for the first time, they have confidence in the future, which is why you now see some significant shifts in the polling about the expectations for the direction in the coming years.
It's a big wake-up call for Democrats.
I'm waiting for them to get a message. I'm waiting for them to unify and to understand that to oppose and to be the resistance, which is what some of them use that phrase, that's not what Democrats in grassroots areas want from them. They may not want the approach that Trump is doing, President Trump. By the way, I now know to say President Trump. But they do want action, and they don't see action from the Democrats.
Okay. Now that's Frank Luntz. Pay no attention to the toupee, but and maybe it's not. Anyway, all right. Distraction, sorry. All right. This is Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz wasn't the biggest fan of Donald Trump. It was obvious. He was trying to pretend as if he was an honest broker, but he's giving CNN a hard pill to swallow. The fact of the matter is, Trump is very popular. What he's doing is very popular. The guy won a mandate, and now that people are seeing what he's doing, they're even happier with their vote. These are coming from used to be Democrats. All right, guys. So listen, a judge has denied the Democrats-led effort to block Doge's access, citing lack of proven harm. All right. So a federal judge on Tuesday, this is Judge Tunkin, I believe. Tanya Chutkin is her name. Now, you guys might remember her. She was working along with Jack Smith to try to do her best to destroy Trump's ability to be able to come president. But in a sense of irony, or what can be described as ironic, she's now the judge that's denying Democrats-led effort to block Doge. I don't know what's behind that. Maybe she's trying to pretend like she really is legit and impartial. She is not, but nonetheless, kudos here. So again, the summary from Fox. A federal judge on Tuesday declined to block Elon Musk Doge from accessing government data or firing federal employees. Now, all Elon Musk is a federal staffer. He's a White House staffer. He's volunteering his time. All of these people that are talking about, oh, these 19-year-olds, these are guys, these kids that are volunteering their time, these young men that are volunteering their time. I'm assuming it's just young men. Maybe there's some women in there. I don't know. All right. But that are volunteering their time at 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, whatever. Young people, right? Young adults. They're absolutely, these are brainiacs. These are people with some of the highest IQ in all of America. And all of these guys in Washington, D.C. that are sitting here complaining about their age, I challenge you to go to Washington, D.C. and look at the age of all of the interns that are walking around town, the staffers that are helping out these politicians. I kid you not, they all look like they're fresh out of college. Some look even younger than that. It's absolutely insane. So this is just a false argument. These people, these young people, they already work for Elon Musk with Starlink, with SpaceX. They're volunteering their time doing the work of the American people. They're not seeing all your data. And frankly, they don't care about all of your data. I guarantee you they make more money than the vast majority of us. And frankly, IQ wise, not necessarily wisdom wise, they're a lot smarter than a lot of us, if we're being honest. These people are going through data so quick, they don't have time. Oh, John lives here and Barbara lives here and Tanya, she lives there. Let's get her information. Let's steal her. They don't have time. What we've been waiting for decades, they're exposing in days. And that means they don't have time to care about your little freaking address and your $50,000 income, $60,000 income, $40,000 income, whatever it may be. They're worried about getting America back on track. And these people are doing it for free. Thank you, Doge. Thank you, President Trump. Judge Tanya Chutkan, all right, earlier this week. So U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan declined to grant the plaintiff's request to issue a temporary restraining order, citing what she said was their failure to demonstrate evidence of irreparable harm caused by Doge's access. Plaintiffs legitimately call into question what appears to be the unchecked authority of an unelected individual and an entity that was not created by Congress and over which it has no oversight. Chutkan, an Obama appointee, said on Tuesday. Now, this is laughable. This is, let me read that again. Plaintiffs legitimately call into question what appears to be the unchecked authority of an elected individual and an entity that was not created by Congress and over which it has no oversight. She says, in these circumstances, it must be indisputable that this court acts within the bounds of its authority. Accordingly, it cannot issue a TRO, especially one as wide-ranging as plaintiffs' request, without clear evidence of imminent irreparable harm to these plaintiffs. The current record does not meet that standard, close quote. Now, this lady, in my opinion, is a complete and utter joke. But ultimately, she did the right thing. They don't have standing, but for her to sit there and opine on unelected individual that was not created by Congress. What about the climate change czar? John Kerry. What about the 30 plus czars that Obama had in his administration? What about the cabinet picks? I know the Senate eventually gets to confirm them, but these are all unelected people. What about the staffers that work for the congressmen and the senators, Judge Chutkan? These are unelected bureaucrats that are working and giving advice to some of our politicians. What about these bureaucratic agencies, the fourth branch of government that has that weren't elected by anybody, that are sitting there and making policy decisions? I mean, these people are an absolute joke. This is all about get Trump. This is all about get Doge. I want to play a video for you. It's a little long, but this is Stephen Miller going back and forth with the lady from CNN we just showed you a little while ago, talking to Frank Luntz. And again, these people have to be absolutely going bonkers. And obviously, the clarion call has been put out in left-wing media, the lamestream media, the elite media. Do everything you can do to take down Trump, because these people are leftist first. They're not real journalists. Clip number 22, please, Gabe. And this one is rather long, so we may have to pause it for a split second, but I think it's worth watching. Let's roll it.
Will Doge employees be able to access individual taxpayer ID numbers and social security numbers?
No. But also, keep in mind, you keep
Will
talking
they be able to
Doge
access
employees.
taxpayer bank account information?
She's been given a script.
They will not be able to access anything that any other appropriately authorized federal employee could access. When you keep talking about, quote, Doge employees, you're just talking about federal workers. You're just literally talking about federal workers. Your question will be, can federal workers do their job? The job of the federal workers at the IRS is to prevent... Well, I'm telling you that is actually what you are asking. Doge is part of the federal government. It is a term to describe the employees of the federal government who've been tasked with anti-fraud and anti-corruption activities. Again, you may not consider it a scandal that millions of illegal aliens are accepting and receiving taxpayer benefits. You might not consider it a scandal that millions of illegal aliens have stolen Social Security numbers and are committing rampant theft of American resources.
You say that you're looking at widespread fraud in the IRS data, and you mentioned yesterday, and you mentioned again here, illegal immigrants who are getting child tax credits. Are you looking for that information in the IRS data?
Anytime a crime is committed, of course there should be an investigation. Is it your position that if somebody who is
Stephen,
here
are you looking for that
is
information in the IRS
dollars?
data?
She's got the Democrat talking points. She's trying to corner
The
her.
federal government will find every illegal alien who is stealing American taxpayer dollars, and that is what Americans expect
find that
to happen.
In the IRS
I don't
data
even fathom that.
Pause it for a sec here, Gabe. Pause the video for a sec.
Simple question.
Pause it. Okay, so what she's trying to do, she's acting on behalf of the Democrat Party. This is an activist pretending to be a journalist on CNN. And what she's trying to get at ultimately, listen, are you viewing all of America's personal information? That's what she's hoping to get out of Stephen Miller. Now, Stephen Miller eventually goes right back at her. Let's continue to watch.
Question. Will you find that information in the IRS data and share that with law enforcement?
If IRS investigators find illegal aliens stealing taxpayer money, of course they'll be referred to ICE. Of course they'll be referred to Homeland Security investigations. Of course it will be. Surely your position is not that we should let illegal aliens steal taxpayer dollars. Again, you want to talk about something to be upset about, that's it. What do you think? The millions of illegal aliens who've also stolen Social Security. Illegal aliens in mass have fake Social Security numbers. They have fake identities. Those are felonies. Why should there be an entire class in this country that is immunized from criminal prosecution and arrest for committing felonies? Felony theft of taxpayer information, felony theft of Social Security, felony theft of identity. These are all crimes. And yes, they will be investigated. Yes, they will be prosecuted. And yes, illegal aliens will be deported. And you know what happens when those deportations occur?
Just very quickly,
is that Americans will get jobs, Americans will get benefits, Americans will get houses.
Stephen, if they got a credit, a child tax credit, and they will be referred, you're saying, to ICE for that, and you would expect deported for that? Is that the position of the administration?
If it is found that a crime has been committed, they'll be referred. If it justifies the prosecution, they'll be prosecuted. If it justifies a deportation, they will be deported. This will be based on existing IRS protocols and procedures for criminal investigation and fraud.
All right,
the difference is that no one is given immunity anymore. No one is given permission to break the law anymore. Because this is not a country, this is not a sovereign territory, if illegal aliens can freely steal billions, with a B, billions of taxpayer dollars. And I would have to imagine that CNN, which is endlessly talked about the importance of democracy and the rule of law, would say that no class in this country should be above the law, least of all illegal aliens who've trespassed on our territory.
No, Stephen, I'm just asking, I wanted to get your position on some things. We're not taking a position here. We wanted to get some answers to some questions. There are so many questions that need to be answered.
It doesn't sound to me like you are, in fact, indifferent or unbiased on these questions, but thank you.
Stephen Miller, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Okay. Actually, there was more. I mean, later he was asking her, "Why don't you want to know about corruption?" So we didn't have that piece of the video. I thought it was in there, but nonetheless, you can see this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an elite media that doesn't want the truth to get out because they're essentially an extension of the Democrat Party. It's insane. All right, keep following the Doge story. Thank you guys for tuning in.